President Biden on his way to Europe for the G7 summit. He'll be meeting with world leaders at the key summit tomorrow in Italy. Ukraine is at the top of the agenda as the president is expected to announce a plan to give massive resources to the country. ABC's Patrick Reevell joins me live from Bari, Italy, with more on that. Patrick, according to a source, this plan could provide roughly $50 billion in loans to Ukraine. What more can you tell us about this proposal and its potential impact?
Good morning, Dan. Yeah, President Biden will arrive here in southern Italy later tonight for the two-day summit of the G7. And as you say, at the top of the agenda is Ukraine and this White House plan to try and provide a $50 billion loan to Ukraine with G7 allies that will be paid for using frozen Russian assets. So instead of using taxpayers' money, they will try and use money that has been confiscated and assets that's been confiscated from Russia. Because at the start of Russia's full-scale invasion, European countries and the US froze around $300 billion worth of Russian assets in their countries, and for 2 years they've been debating how to use it, with people saying that it should go towards Ukraine's defense and towards trying to reconstruct the country. But that has been a very controversial issue, and now the White House hopes that it's finally found a way to try and bring these countries together to start trying to use basically the interest from these confiscated Russian assets and to use that to pay back this loan over time, which will allow them to immediately inject $50 billion in straight to Ukraine and to try and help its defense and its reconstruction. But ultimately, while that is a lot of money, it still really pales in comparison to the amount that will be needed to try and reconstruct everything that has been destroyed in Ukraine by Russia. But ultimately, I think part of this is about trying to send a signal to Russia that the Western support is not going to flag and it will not be able to outlast it. Diane?
Patrick, Ukraine's President Zelensky is set to meet with President Biden tomorrow. What can we expect to come out of that meeting?
Yeah, as you say, President Zelensky will be here in Italy and will be meeting again with President Biden. This is actually going to be the second time in a week that the two have met because, of course, they met during the D-Day celebrations in France just last week. And I think that really does show how much President Biden wants to project his continuing commitment and support to Zelensky and to President Zelensky. And it's very important, we know, for the Ukrainians, because coming up this weekend is going to be a peace summit that Ukraine has tried to organize and is trying to involve as many countries as possible. Russia will not be there, but Ukraine has been urging countries to take part, including the US. But there was some tension because President Biden has chosen not to attend that summit. Instead, he'll be sending Kamala Harris, as well as his national security advisor, Jake Sullivan. But we know the Ukrainians were upset about this. So I think, you know, this meeting tomorrow, there will be an attempt to try and still show the Ukrainians how much support is coming from the Biden administration. Diane?
Patrick Reevell, thank you.